Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Vivs from Slidner here. It's been some time since I talked about Android. I'm back after a brief period of being ill thanks to the heavy rains, but finally we're gonna talk about how we can work stuff with the keyboard in Android. Now, whenever I'm trying to make something in Android, one of the biggest things that really pisses me off is the edit text that you have in Android, and that's because of that stupid keyboard which keeps popping up and doesn't let me allow or control it in a different ways. So here on my Slidener.com website, I already have a nice article that talks about what are the different things that you can do with the keyboard and how you can play with it. So I have talked about input types over here. Then I've talked about how you can control the buttons that appear inside your keyboard, like for example this last button, which is send or done. And then I've talked about the editor action listener. Now I'm gonna implement the same stuff which I've discussed in this complete article in the current video. For any reference, I'll be including the link to this article in my description text in the video, so be sure to check the article out before you proceed and see this video. So let's get started first. So I have an edit text right now. If I start entering something over here on the screen, if you guys notice, the keyboard pops up and what I see is these different characters that has the entire stuff over here. Now how can I customize the layout of this keyboard? So going back to our activities layout file here, in the edit text, what I can do is use a special attribute called input type. So I'm gonna go here and I'm gonna say input type. Now it has several values. Let me show you some simple ones. For example, if you want only numbers, you could probably say something like input type equals number, something like that. Let's run this and find out how that works. So now when you run the app and when you start the keyboard, take a look at that. The keyboard is completely changed. There are only digits and there's a decimal point with some other characters. Same way, there are several values out there that are available for the Android input type, and these values change with the versions of Android. So going here, if I want something like say date time, I could probably have date time over here. Let me run this again and show you what happened. So this time, if you guys notice here, there's the same numbers, but there's this weird character that has come up over here, which is basically a slash and a colon for date and time. So as you guys notice, the keyboard can be customized using the input type attribute. And I will leave that to you guys to play with the different values of input type to figure out the different attributes, because there's a lot of attributes and they keep changing again and again, so I don't want to talk about them. So next thing that we are going to talk about is this button over here. To go back here, there's this button which says done over here. Can we change that button to something else, and can we receive events from over here? Let's say if I enter 1 2 3 over here in the keyboard through my keyboard, and then I click done over here, what I want is that number to disappear and this input to get registered or something like that. So how do we do that? Well, to control what appears in the button, there's another attribute called IME options. Over here, if you go see Android IME options, you can have a lot of options over here. Take a look. There's action unspecified, action search, action send, and there are some many other buttons just like I said. Now one of the most popular ones that you guys are going to be using is something called action done. Now let me show you first. If I put action send over here, let me run the app and show you what happens right now. So as soon as our app starts running and the keyboard pops open, you guys notice that there's a send button over here in place of the done button that we had. So in this way you can customize what kind of action you want to listen for. Now in my case, let's say I want to have an action done over here. So I'm going to put action done, and for the input I'm going to have number. No, wait a second, let me just keep it normal over here. Text cap words. So every word is going to be capitalized when I say text cap words. So going back to my test IMF, now when the user hits that done button, I want to be told that the user has done so and so. So how do I do that? Very simple. I go here and I simply say edit text dot set on editor action listener. Now this is a listener which will listen for events on that button on the keyboard. So go here and you can say this over here, which means make your activity implement the on editor action listener. So go here, let test IMF implement on editor action listener. Do that. Of course you'll have to override some methods. Let's implement them. And one of the methods that we have, and in fact the only method that we have, is on editor action, which is 3 parameters. The first parameter, text view, is the name of the view that was clicked where you guys had the keyboard popping up. Second parameter that you have is the action ID. Now we will take a look at what this ID is. The third parameter, key event, is null for all other cases except when you hit the enter key. So what we are gonna do here, we're gonna compare if we hit the done button or not. How do we do that? If you go here, if you say if action ID, now there is this class called editor info which has our IME actions over here. If you guys notice, there is editor info.ime action done, go, next, and all the things. So you can compare your current action ID. So let's say if the action ID is action done, then what we want to do in our case currently is to simply display a text toast over here that represents a simple message. Also, if you have successfully handled the action, then you should return true from here. Otherwise, you should return false. So in our case, if the action is done, in our case, we are going to return true over here. Oops, sorry about that. Otherwise, in all other cases, what we simply return is false for other action IDs. Now that is done over here. Let's take a look. Go up above over here. Let's run this app and figure out if our onEditor action gets called or not. So now I have a keyboard which I'm gonna pop up by clicking on the edit text, and I'm gonna say Sam over here. As you guys notice, I use the input type text cap words, which means every single word is gonna be capital automatically. So let's say I've said Sam over here. Let's click done over here, and as soon as you do that, you notice the toast here which says you click the done button. So in that case, there are three parameters that are passed. The first parameter is the edit text itself, which was clicked. The second parameter is the action ID, which is nothing but action done in our case, which is why this condition is satisfied, which says action ID equals IME action done. The third parameter doesn't matter in our case, and this code runs over here and return true here to indicate that we have successfully handled the user clicking the done button. Otherwise, we return false, and that is that. So this was a simple example to show you guys how you can use your IME options and input type attribute to customize stuff. For more details, be sure to read the article in the description, links below over there. In the meantime, have a nice day. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.